This is the Lybra Finance 1-year overview reading for the year 2024. It's currently July 26, 2023, 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Lybra Finance at the time of this reading is currently $1.56 USD, and the shuffle file we're about to play for the Lybra Finance 2024 reading was created today, which is, again, July 26th at 8:01 p.m. Eastern Time. So the overall theme and behavior for the year, we have a decline that ends with a fast, sudden move higher. It looks like there's a pretty significant move, maybe even like a big drop. Well, there's probably a pretty big drop because it's crossed with the full card, and the full card in a lot of cases is like a really unexpected or improbable move in one direction. Hard to determine exactly which direction just looking at the full card, but based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's to the downside pretty notably. Overall direction of the full card. Wow, it's mixed. In any case, the behavior around the highest high, we have a fast sudden move higher on a 1-year scale, taking us into the highest high, or in this case, it's probably two highs. Behavior around the lowest low, we have erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level near the lowest lows, and it looks like we revisit a crest in the midst of that erratic behavior near the lows. That also seems to be playing out when I look at the overall cards through the timeline. So we have our early high. It looks like there's a highest high here somewhere around the cusp of January, February, with this full card and this this Ace of Discs card here on the cusp. So in early January, there's a rally along a diagonal trend line, breaking through horizontal resistance to meet a secondary resistance. That's resistance on a multi-day scale before pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. That's early January. Late January is where we see the fortune card in a lot of cases indicates a high. Behavior around the highest high, we have multiple false tops or some really tricky sideways behavior. I'm advised to be very cautious. There is a trade opportunity there in January. We'll talk about that in the paid version. And then behavior around the low, we have a decline in January that offers an opportunity to open up a long position, taking us into the low. The chart behavior around the low will be failed attempt to break through key resistance, and then a decline through previously established support. And by previously established, I mean right before that failed attempt to break through key resistance. That's all on a multi-day scale. That low is probably early in the month of January, and then we rally out of that into a high around the cusp of January, February. We decline off of the high from January, February pretty notably, but that decline does offer an opportunity to open up a long position, indicating that it's very likely we'll revisit the high again. Let's take a look at the 7-year reading that we did. 2024's overall trend behavior on the scale of this 7-year reading. There's a sideways fluctuating decline that precedes a rally. There's also an orange correlation here to the failure card and some clear kinetics indicating a pretty strong decline probably into the end of 2024 in the midst of that sideways fluctuating decline. And then there may be a pop between 2024 and then more decline in 2025, but a low somewhere around the cusp of 2025-6, and then a big move to multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance at a high around the cusp of 2026-2027. But so far so good. It looks like just sidewaysy behavior going on, which is what this card for 2023 indicates. So overall, it's looking like a sideways fluctuating decline. We have a decline that ends with a fast sudden move higher. It looks like there's a bit of a fast sudden move higher maybe in the last 2 months. We also revisit a crest. There's a crest here in the end of October in between these lows. We see it. We most likely see it again on the cusp of November, December, and we're revisiting crests as indicated by the significator card. We'll be revisiting crests within close time proximity to erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level. And that price level will be most likely be represented by this Princess of Swords, which kind of happens in between these lows and these crests that are revisited. Princess of Swords in a lot of cases is an opportunity to position oneself in both directions at separate, putting on a leg at a time with the amount of price change, utilizing that resistance level as like a mean point for the legs. So we go from that highest high around the cusp of January, February, a lot of price change to the downside off of that high in January, February cusp, leading to sideways rotation around the February low. And that sideways rotation, there's a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of sideways rotation. We also, in that period of sideways rotation, revisit a support level that we recently met once before. So probably the support that this Queen of Wands probably rallied off of, maybe like something at the end of 2023. And there's quite a lot of trade opportunity in this 1 year reading. January's high, February's high, and March's high, all three of them all have an important trade opportunity involved in there. I'm going to talk about the trade opportunities and what to look for as far as exit and entry points, as far as chart behavior, and general timing with that chart behavior, so that you can get an idea of where to enter and exit. And I get into all that stuff in the paid version. If you're interested in the paid version, guys, it's a really great way to support the channel. You get it here at our website, tarotfortraders.com, under our services, SO Meta Posts. Scroll down to 1 year report. And this is actually where, if you have any ticker or crypto that you're interested in the channel covering, you can order it here and get it done within a couple of weeks rather than a couple of months with the free request. You just specify the year here, you specify the ticker or the crypto symbol here, continue and purchase, and it goes a long way to support the channel. Also, it's pretty detailed information, and if you want some more example, check out our S&P 500 1 year readings. You get a good idea of what the paid version has in it. There's a prominent crest and a prominent trough in January. There's a prominent crest and a prominent trough in February, and there's a pretty notable decline mid-month, and then a big move at the end of the month to the upside, like in the last week, to take us to another peak or crest. There's very likely a highest high here too. It's possible we have like this big move from a significant trough. Okay, so yeah, there's probably a big pop off of that decline into the end of February. Like last week, big move to the upside there, maybe even like a mini breakout, but there's multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. There's resistance highlighted on a multi-day scale in the end of February. There's multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance highlighted in early March. A big move higher to the March high, which looks like it's towards the end of the month of March. From that, we sell off towards the end of the month of March. We sell off through multiple support levels off of a near overbought peak or crest, and the behavior around the March low is sideways fluidity, equal amounts of bulls and bears, inflow and outflow. So we should see some sideways rotation near the low. Either that or we see the March low more than once. To really determine that, we'd have to do a monthly for March. There's a pretty big move in the end of March to the downside off of that peak or crest into like the cusp of March, April, and then we have a prominent move to the upside in early April, like the first week, moving through key resistance on a multi-day scale. We stay above it briefly, and then we break back down through that same price level shortly thereafter with the full retracement of that prominent move to the upside. And that's early April, which creates a peak in early April, but the behavior around the high for April is a U-shaped dip that forms near the intersection of two perpendicular diagonal trend lines. And so we may very well see an April high twice towards the end of April, come up against resistance that we met many times before. And it's very likely that same resistance that we had multiple failed attempts to break through here around the cusp of February, March, we're likely seeing that again here, but not necessarily. It could be this resistance that we break through momentarily. Behavior off of the low, which appears to be in early April, there's a big move, and then the establishment of support at a higher price level. Looks like we have two kind of peaks, both on the cusp of March, April, and then it looks like we have probably a higher price level or highest high in May or the end of May. There's a peak on the cusp of April, May, and then a higher price level in the end of May. So early May, we have like this move higher and then a full retracement, or maybe just a move higher. Hard to determine with the art card. It's one of the two. Off of the May low, there's a really big move to the upside, reaching for distant resistance, as indicated by the Lust card in May low position. And it looks like we're rallying with increasing momentum as we move forward into like the third week of May, where we most likely have this highest high again. We probably revisit the highest high from the beginning of the year. Behavior around the May high, we have sideways rotation and a fast sudden move higher, marking the end of that sideways rotation. That fast sudden move higher will take us to the high for the month, also a highest high for the year. It may be on the cusp of May, June, because there's a rally in early June to the June high. It offers a significant opportunity to open up a short position. Also, we have to take in mind that this big move to the upside off of the low in May to a distant resistance, it's probably a big move all the way from the low of the May low to the highest high for the year, revisited in late May. And then that's a unicursal energy, as indicated by unicursal in the midst of that big move, meaning that we want to position ourselves for a significant downturn on the scale of the reading. And so on the scale of a 1 year, we're looking at a multi-month kind of decline. So early June, we have this rally offering opportunity to open up a short position. We have a prominent peak that stands out in June, not a crest, but a peak, and it's near the June low. It looks like there's 3 pokes through the same trend line in late June, followed by a sharp drop off of that 3rd poke, taking us to what is most likely our lowest low thus far. Decline off of those 3 pokes into July, increases with momentum in July. In the July low, we revisit a low that we recently met once before. Towards the end of the month of July, a big move to the upside, creating a peak that we then sell off from, like an overbought peak or crest. And that sell-off takes us into early August, decline through multiple support levels. The August declines through one support level to meet a second support level before rotating sideways along that support level. And then we have this significant trough, not a lowest low, but a significant trough here in early August actually, and then like this big move out of the low, successfully turning resistance into new support. It looks like towards the end of the month of August there's this big move, and we possibly push the upper end of a range higher on a multi-day scale. Right around the cusp of August, September, big move to the upside, followed by a decline through multiple support levels. There's like a pop and drop to reach September's high. Price swings around the September low, and we attempt to establish support near the end of September, like on the cusp there, but instead we end up declining to even lower price level here, the Princess of Discs, and the Death card. A significant decline to a low is near the October high, which is towards the beginning of the month, it looks like. Hard to say, but we decline into early October. We have a lowest low there thus far, probably a lowest low period because of this Death card and this Princess of Discs card here. Behavior around the October low, a period of volatility and a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of volatility. In late October, there's a new local high, and by local high, I mean like it won't be necessarily a highest high, especially because we're doing like this decline here, but it'll be after creating these new lows here in early October. We'll have a new high towards the end of October, probably another new low on the cusp of October, November. Sideways rotation in early November. The resistance level that we meet in the November high is going to be a good mean point, like I said, to position oneself in both directions. And it looks like towards the end of November, really, there's a lot of mixed behavior within a channel. We go from a resistance to a support, back to a resistance, back to a support, creating opportunity there to trade, which we'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. And we probably revisit the low again, out of which we have the November low. There's a breakout on a multi-day scale. What's important is we revisit crests here, and it looks like we've got this abundance card and then the luxury card are similar energies. We're probably revisiting crests near the low and revisiting the low in the midst of this erratic behavior back and forth. This princess card is probably that price level that we moved back and forth through, and we see this crest here, and then we see this crest in December. In the end of December, we have this unexpected move to the upside, a big move to the upside that'll stand out. It's also got correlations to the Fool card, so we should see from a decline in early December into a big move to the upside in late December with like a fake out near the December low. So be careful near the December lows there. There's some sort of fake out or shake out intentional move before like this big move in late December. And then the sneak preview for 2025, we have some bumping along resistance, some bullish behavior, which was what I was picking up on. There's some bullish behavior maybe in the beginning of 2025 before the sharp decline, and that's indicated because we have the Empress card as a sideways fluctuating decline that usually precedes a rally, so it implies that there's a rally there around the cusp of the Empress card and the Universe card there in 2024, 2025. Alright guys, that's Lybra Finance for 2024. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. Guys, don't forget to follow that rule of karma. It's super important. It's the whole purpose of the channel. You do so here on the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, where our angel investors are donating 5% of the profits forward to one of these charities and 5% of the profits back to the channel at one of these links. It's super easy to do. Just click here, and then that leaves you, those angel investors, with 90% of the money. Make sure to spend that money out of love. As long as you follow those rules, the universe is going to send it back to you tenfold through this channel. Blessings, my friends. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.